So today's talk is called I Am There. And it's about the presence. P, capital P, presence. That there is presence everywhere present. That no matter where you are, no matter where I am, that which we call God is. That we cannot, no matter how hard we try, be separate from God. No matter how hard we try, no matter what thoughts we use to try to convince ourselves that God is elsewhere and I'm over here, or God is here but I'm elsewhere, it's not true. Oh, we can breathe a sigh of relief. I'm not separate from God, yay! Imagine that no matter what's going on, I'm not separate. This is what God looks like now. And this is what God looks like now. This is what God looks like with a broken ankle. And this is what God looks like walking up the steps. And this is what God is going to look like walking back down the steps. And this is what God looks like at this weight, and at this weight, and at this weight. And when my hair does this or doesn't do this, this is what God looks like as I'm having lunch. And this is what God looks like as I'm having dinner. And this is what God looks like when somebody looks at me walking, and I interpret it to be this, even though they didn't mean it that way. This is what God looks like now. This is what God looks like now, because I cannot be separate from God. And this is what God looks like when I'm unhappy, and this is what God looks like when I'm glee-filled, and this is what God looks like when I am in rapture, and this is what God looks like when I'm watching TV. This is what God looks like. I cannot be separate from intelligence. I cannot be separate from power. I cannot be separate from presence. I cannot be separate from love. I cannot be separate from wisdom. Whatever God is, I cannot be separate from it. Have I made my point? Yes. Who believes it? Yeah, I see lots of hands up. Will you, in a couple hours, if I call up and hang up on you? Will you believe it, if you can't get into a restaurant today because it's Mother's Day? Will you believe it, when the driver's driving down the road and you don't care for the way they're driving? Will you still believe that God's in that other car? That love is in that other car? Because God and love are synonymous. God and power are synonymous. God and presence are synonymous. God and intelligence and wisdom are synonymous. There's not God and. If I'm talking about power, I'm talking about God. If I'm talking about presence, I'm talking about God. If I'm talking about love, I'm talking about God. If I am God, and this is what God looks like. And I have some friends who cannot look in the mirror and say, "Hi, God," because they think it's sacrilege. They think they are insulting God. They're very afraid of insulting God. And I say, stop that. I say, stop it, friends who think they could somehow offend God. You will offend your mother, your father, your sister, your aunt, your brother. You will offend your neighbor. You will offend the grocery store clerk, but you will not offend God. You will offend your spouse, but you will not offend God. Your friends will offend you. Your spouse will offend you. Your money will offend you. The grocery store clerk at some point will offend you. Somebody's going to offend you, but your God self will not be offended. It is only in self-consciousness that we are offended, that we find offense. In self-conscious. While I'm enraptured by self-consciousness, I am still here. And this is what God looks like, with me throwing a temper tantrum. Temper tantrums don't always happen by stomping your feet. They don't always happen by screaming and yelling. Temper tantrums can go into depression. Temper tantrums go into I can't. Temper tantrums go into I won't. Temper tantrums happen a lot of ways, and a lot of times it's through our embarrassment because we don't yet understand it. I was talking with someone yesterday that I mentor in a certain way, and he was telling me how he hates the main book of our Connected Fellowship. He went to a fellowship meeting and declared how he hated that book. And I said, just because you have a reading problem does not mean that is a book that you should hate. And I'm going to tell you right here and right now, your life is better because I read that book. And I understand it. And your life is better because a lot of people have read that book and made your life better because they shared their experience, strength, and hope about it. So for you to hate that book because you're ashamed you don't yet know how to read is an insult. So I was offended. I declared my offense. I did not declare an absence of God. What I said was, go read the book, find a way. Read it out loud to yourself with a dictionary. When there are words that you don't understand, look them up and get an understanding. There are people who will not read a Charles Fillmore book, Unity's co-founder, because the books seem to not make sense, and when you first start, they don't. Many of them do not. Read them. There was a time I read this book, oh man, what the heck is he talking about here? And now I could teach any one of those books. I understand the metaphysical principles in every single one because I practiced. Because I saw where I agreed and where I didn't quite agree, but there's still worthwhile teachings. I can open a Bible now and have a clue. I can open the Course in Miracles and see the virtues in it. And I can read it by myself and be fully inspired. I can read the Bible by myself and be fully inspired and understand or have a clue. And the things I don't understand, there's this wonderful thing, and it's called Google. And it will help you to get understanding. There's a wonderful website called truthunity.net. I've told many of you about it. All of you, actually, except you, the person first time I hear. Truthunity.net. Mark Hicks, it's his website, has all the Unity publications. It has metaphysically, almost just about every verse in the Bible is metaphysically defined in that. You type in Romans 1:14, metaphysically defined, and what it will give you is what the Bible says, and then it will give you different people, different teachers' interpretations of that. It doesn't do every single one, but it'll do whole passages of all of the books in the Bible. That's how I get a lot of my research done. Because what I did with the Old Testament did not just come through me naturally. I had to do my homework. And so, I had the presence of mind, though, to know where to look. You all have been given instructions now on where to look. So you can't say anymore, I don't know what that means. I don't like the Bible, because it's just all that stuff. Well, read it with a metaphysician's eye. Read your Bible with a metaphysician's eye, and you will then have understanding of what that means metaphysically. So, because it's all meant there to correct our thoughts, to realign our thoughts, to point out where we have been thinking incorrectly. And I say incorrectly, I mean to incorrectly. An incorrect thought is anything that makes me think I'm separate from God. That's an incorrect thought, period. Anything that makes me think I'm separate from God or you. There's no difference. To understand that the way we treat each other is how we think of God. Say, oh no. Oh no, I'm in trouble. Because I say I love God, but if I hate another being, I have missed the mark. Now I understand we're where we are. We have to start from where we are. But where do you want to be? Where would you like to get to? It's not too hard, I promise. It's not too hard to get to where you'd like to be in spirit, in truth, within the understanding of presence. It's not too hard to get there. But you have to start. And you start from where you are. And start by knowing. Here's where you can start from where you are. I don't know where I am. That's where you start. I don't know where I am. But I do know that God has no judgment of me. Could you start from there? Would you be willing to start from there, wherever you happen to be? I don't know where I am, but I know God has no judgment of me, so I don't have to judge myself. Will you miss judging yourself? Will you be lonely without your judgments? Will you be in great mourning without your judgments of your horrible selves? I don't think I'm horrible. I think I'm wonderful. Really? Really? When you look in the mirror, do you say, "Hi, wonderful you"? Or do you go, "Ew, ew, ew"? You know, when you look at your neighbor, do you say, "Hi, wonderful you"? And I mean on both sides of where you live. Both sides. And the back and the front, up the hill. Do you say, "Oh, hi, wonderful you"? Or do you say, "Hi, wonderful you, not you, you, not you, you, not you, you, not you"? You know, and this is how you can know where your judgments are. Because when we're judging them is how we're judging ourselves. Because you see, how could, if there weren't something wrong with me, how could I have this awful neighbor unless there's something wrong with me? How could I have this horrible past unless there's something wrong with me? How could it be? Well, let's change our thinking again. My past is not horrible. It just hurt my feelings. My past is not horrible. It hurt my feelings, and here's why. Because I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know what to do with my past when it was my present. I didn't know how to stand up for myself. And I didn't know how to do something other than smoke or drink or eat or yell or whatever. I didn't know how, or just hurt myself in some way. I didn't know how. But I have a clue now. And the clue is, I don't know where I am, but I am not judged by God. My life isn't judged by God. My mother isn't judged by God. My father isn't judged by God. My brother and my sister, and I don't just mean in my immediate family, is not judged by God. And so, I'm willing to put down my judgment in exchange for the awareness of love. The awareness that wherever I am, God is, and all is well. And wherever I am, God is, and all is well. And wherever I am, God is, and all is well. And wherever I am, God is, and all is well. Let me read something. It's in the Revealing Word, and it's the presence of God. And it says, the awareness of spirit within one's own being. That's the presence of God. The awareness of spirit within one's own being. It manifests as increased life, increased peace, increased love, and a deep sense of spiritual joy. A deep sense. So that whenever you are grieving, whenever you are in mourning, whenever you are confused, you can look within, and there will be joy somewhere within you. because you know God is here. You know that in spite of what's going on in the world, I see God is here, because God can't not be. I discovered that for myself years ago. I was throwing a big fit about something. Who knows what. Very unhappy, very afraid, just because I was me. And at that stage of my life. But I couldn't have been more surprised that I felt this excitement. And it was right here. I felt this excitement in me. And I thought, what's that about? I'm so upset. And I thought, oh, that's what joy is. Oh, so joy is in me all the time. Well, that changed my mood pretty quickly, with the realization that joy is never not in me. And it's right in here. I just hadn't been paying attention. But I had, at that point, been doing my prayer work, my meditation work and everything, so I could spot certain aspects, certain things in me that were here no matter what I was thinking and no matter what I was feeling, no matter what story I was telling myself. So then I read this today in 1 John chapter 3 from the Holy Spirit's interpretation of the New Testament. And it says, "The awareness of God is an awareness that is pure and looks on that which is wholly true. This awareness is within you. It is the core of what you are. It is an operation as God now. However, you are not aware of your God awareness because you have allowed that which is false to be held in your mind as true. This is what is meant by purify yourself. You must make the decision to release all that is not true from the mind, because that which is not true is false. And so it is an obstacle to the total awareness of truth. False thoughts are all thoughts that are based on the idea of separateness. False thoughts include, but are not limited to, thoughts of guilt, attack, fear, hatred, and regret. All of these thoughts imply that there is a mind that is separate from yours and separate will and desire. All of these thoughts imply a conflict now, in the future, or in the past. All of these thoughts are mistaken, because none of these thoughts are based on truth. All that is true is oneness and the activity of oneness, which is love. Love is the only fact, because oneness is all that is true." And I love this. You need not worry that you do not love your brother in truth, because love is all that you're capable of. You only need ask, am I aware of love? If you are not, you're still believing that which is false. And so it's very clear. If I'm not yet aware that I love my brother and my sister, it just means I'm still having a false thought. It doesn't mean I don't love them. It just means I'm not aware of it yet. And so on this Mother's Day, I invite you to take your mother and make her your sister. Let her off the hook. Let her off the hook for anything that you would like her to be, just in case she's not living up to your expectations. If you had this amazing mother, I still invite you to make her your sister, so that she can be free to express on this plane or another. That she is free in your mind to express in the presence of God. I so invite you to do that. I'm going to read a poem that James Dillett Friedman, who also wrote A Prayer for Protection, he was Unity's Poet Laureate. One time he headed up Silent Unity, did a lot when he was around Unity from the time he was 4 on Tracy Street in Kansas City. And it's called I Am There. And it says, "Do you need me? I am there. You cannot see me, yet I am the light you see by. You cannot hear me, yet I speak through your voice. You cannot feel me, yet I am the power at work in your hands. I am at work, though you do not understand my ways. I am at work, though you do not recognize my works. I am not strange visions, I am not mysteries. Only in absolute stillness, beyond self, can you know me as I am. And then, but as a feeling and a faith. Yet I am there, yet I hear, yet I answer. When you need me, I am there. Even if you deny me, I am there. Even when you feel most alone, I am there. Even in your fears, I am there. Even in your pain, I am there. I am there when you pray and when you do not pray. I am in you and you are in me. Only in your mind can you feel separate from me, for only in your mind are the mists of yours and mine. Yet only with your mind can you know me and experience me. Empty your heart of empty fears. When you get yourself out of the way, I am there. You can of yourself do nothing, but I can do all, and I am in all. Though you may not see the good, good is there, for I am there. I am there because I have to be, because I am. Only in me does the world have meaning. Only out of me does the world take form. Only because of me does the world go forward. I am the law on which the movement of the stars and the growth of living cells are founded. I am the love that is the law's fulfilling. I am assurance. I am peace. I am oneness. I am the law that you can live by. I am the love that you can cling to. I am your assurance. I am your peace. I am one with you. I am. Though you fail to find me, I do not fail you. Though your faith in me is unsure, my faith in you never wavers, because I know you, because I love you. Beloved, I am there.